Hey sis, how are you? I know it's been a really tough week for half, if not more, of the country. And for those of us in post-secondary education, I think it's been quite an experience, a challenge to go into the classroom with young adults amidst all the chaos and try to teach and be centered and focused. But I wanted to kind of change up my social media strategy for this Friday. Normally I put up a static picture, but I wanted to put up a video today because I want to share with you something I'm doing with my students that I hope will encourage and inspire you as well. And that is I have adjusted my methodology in the classroom. It used to be, students would walk in and we'd get, after taking attendance, we'd get straight into, doing the roll and the attendance, like I said, and straight into lecture. But in the last couple of years, especially when having taken a 2-year break from teaching, in that 2 years that I was out of the classroom from 2022 to 2024, what I started implementing in my own personal life was breath work and mindset growth. Mindset development. So affirmations became a lifeline for me in my own personal traumas and tribulations that I was experiencing in my own personal life. And in learning how to manage this, I was able to return to the classroom with a new scope, a new lens from which to practice, to adjust my methodology or pedagogy, whatever you want to call it. And what I do now with my students is that as soon as they walk in the classroom and we take attendance, we take a big breath together. I have us do 2 breaths, and I got that from one of my directors for a play that we had out last year. He taught the cast how to always start with breath, a collective breath together. And I loved that concept and decided that I would bring it into the classroom, that I was going to add it to how I practice teaching writing, how I practice teaching in general. And so we begin with breath, 2 big breaths. I have them close their eyes, take a big breath in, hold at the top for like 3-4 seconds, and then exhale. And I always tell them, make sure these shoulders drop when we exhale, that your tummy is flat, everything is released. And we do 2 breaths together. And then after the breath, I take them immediately into free writing. And they have 5 minutes, and I time this, 5 minutes, either pen and paper or on their tablet, and they have 5 minutes to free write. And I tell them, we're not sharing this. This is for you. This is very private and personal. I want you to write whatever is on your mind. And if you say that I don't have anything on my mind, that is your first line. I need you to connect to the power of the pen. The pen can save a life, take a life. And the minute I can get my students to understand how this thing can change the world, can change their lives, in alignment with this thing, they begin to understand why it is important to develop this skill set called writing. And so after the 5 minutes of them connecting with self and paper, then we go into an affirmation statement that I have for them that day. And I tie that affirmation statement as much as possible into what is happening in the world, what is happening with them internally. I give them personal lived experiences so that they can understand and see the connection between all that we're learning and all that is happening. Because as I've told them, nothing is interdependent of another in this world. And so the way that we have managed to get through the chaos of the world this week is to tap into mindset growth and development. So for example, one of the affirmation statements last week was, be a master of your thoughts, be a master of your life. And I've tied that into the syllabus, the curriculum, the readings, the reading assignments, the writing assignments, because I need them to understand that this thing right here, if you could master this, if you could get into the habit of breath, of understanding that you are holding your breath through life, and that when you holding your breath, you can't receive or give, right? I've also made it a point to really stress the importance of that the minute you wake up in the morning, do not reach for your phone. Do not go into the negative tailspin of your thoughts. Instead, as soon as you wake up in the morning, the first thing that should come out of your mouth, as soon as you open your eyes, is thank you. And why do we want to say thank you? Because we want to begin with gratitude. We want to begin to master our mindset. And how we do that is to understand that this thing right here called the body, baby, this thing is autonomous. It works autonomously, meaning you have no control over whether or not your heart decides to stop beating, or your mind decides to fall apart, or your muscular system stops functioning, whatever it is. You don't have control over that. What you do have control over, though, is what you'd allow to come in here as soon as you open up your eyes. So beginning an attitude of gratitude, and then going into breath, and then going into free writing, and then going into affirmations. That is how I've adjusted my pedagogy. And you know what? I've been able to steer these young people through a very difficult week. But even more so, I've been able to help steer myself through a challenging week. I've also taught and continue to teach and learn about this body, about paying attention to the body, what's going on inside of here. Because your body responds, good or bad, to what is happening internally. It responds to that. So you know you've made the right decision when you get butterflies in your stomach. You also know you may have made the wrong decision when you feel sick to your stomach. So it's important to be able to tap into this body. How is it feeling? Tap into the mindset. What am I thinking? What am I allowing in? How much of it am I allowing to stay here? How much of it am I able to control? And it all begins with gratitude. So I say all that because I want to encourage you to do something this weekend. I want to encourage you to limit your interaction with social media. And I know you've been hearing a lot of people say that, but I do want to encourage you to do that. Limit your interaction with social media this weekend. If you see something come up that's in the news, scroll past it. Give yourself one day to be away from that. Look for the joy in posts. Look for something funny to watch, to engage in. In fact, maybe read a book this weekend. Go outside for a walk. Have lunch with your friends. Do something that is for self, that allows you to tap into your body. Utilize your attitude of gratitude so that you are better able to step into the next day. That's one of the things I want to encourage you to do. I'm also considering at this point teaching a class on Hillman TikTok about the power of mindset when it comes to writing. One of the things I've also been teaching my students is that writing is intentional. He who holds the pen gets to tell the story, and that writing is sacred. So what we see is a movement to erase many of us from the history books. And the way that the African American community in general, fought against the erasure of us from history was to use this thing called the pen. And so when I'm talking to my students, I'm expressing to them how valuable of a weapon this pen is. That if someone can try to write you out, it is now your responsibility to do what we call enter the conversation. Pick up the pen, write a post, or open your mouth and put out a video. Enter the conversation, but be intentional about what you are putting out. So pay attention to the words. Pay attention to how you place them on the paper. Pay attention to which words you use, because writing is sacred. What you put out is out. You cannot get it back. Just like when you type up a message on a computer and send someone an email or a text and you try to delete it. No, sir. No, ma'am. It is still out there. And that is the same thing with writing. So we must be intentional about the power of this thing, and be mindful that we are at a moment in history, human history, where the pen is being used to erase us, but we can write ourselves back in. It doesn't have to be that way. So y'all let me know what you think. Should I do a class on Hillman TikTok about the power of the pen and how literature has always told us what is happening and what is going to happen? Because the thing is, our stories is what has held this world together, this country together in particular. And it is our stories, when we pick up the pen and choose to write about it, that will keep us here, that will keep us in the histories. All right? Let me know what you think. But in the meantime, sis, have a fantastic weekend to the best of your ability. Do not let worries torture you. Do not torture yourself with worry. Go inward, plant your feet, gather yourself, rest, and then be ready to fight. All right, I'll see you later. Bye.